Hey, this is Seth, and in this video, I want to share with you the pros and cons of working a remote job versus an in-house job. And remote work is so appealing, it's very enticing, and a lot of people want a remote job because of the flexibility and many other factors, but there are some things I want to dive into that you may not have thought about, and also I want to highlight some of the advantages of working in an office that you also may not have thought about. So I want to get into that in just a moment, but please remember, before I get started, if you like this content, please remember to like this video and subscribe to my channel for more useful content like this. So let's talk about remote work. Obviously, after the last couple of years, remote work has exploded, and that's been an incredible opportunity for so many people because of the benefits of being able to work from home. The pros of working from home or working remotely are obviously independence, location independence, meaning you could work from your home, you can work from a coffee shop, you can even move to another city. You have a lot of flexibility. You don't have to deal with a commute. That is a huge thing for a lot of people, especially people who are crunched on time, especially if you have a family and you're spending 1 to 2 hours a day in your car during a commute. That's really terrible waste of your time. And so when you work remotely, you don't have to do that. And of course, when you're working at home, if you do have a family, that means you get to spend more time with them. You're not spending, 8 to 10 hours a day away from the people that you love. And that can be really, really amazing. Also the flexibility in those people, if you're working from home, especially with a digital marketing job, you're often an industry and in a company where they give you a lot of freedom, so long as you get your work done. So if you have to run an errand or take care, go to the doctors or do something, personal, you have the flexibility to go and do that thing. And you can also decide, hey, I want to work at home. I don't want to work in a coffee shop. I want to work here. I want to work there. You can do all that kind of stuff. And that's one of the reasons why it is so appealing. The pros are really apparent, but I want to talk just for a minute, obviously not to say anything negative about remote work, but just to help give you a more three-dimensional picture of what it's actually like, based on my experience personally, and of course the experience of many of my students. Now, the one thing people don't think about when they think about remote work is the fact that you will be spending your entire day or a lot of your day on the computer interacting with other people. In some companies, this is done really, really well. I've had students who have a sense of community and connectedness with their coworkers, even though the coworkers work all over the country. And that's really good in some companies. But in other companies, it may not be the case. And this can lead to a sense of isolation. If you're sitting in your house by yourself and you're looking at people on a TV screen, people also get what is known as Zoom fatigue, which we all experienced a couple of years ago. And this is where, you're talking to other people, but you're staring at a flat two-dimensional screen day in and day out. If that's the only way you're connecting with the people, it can also have a psychological effect on you in terms of your enjoyment of the work. And as I had mentioned earlier, while having, a remote job is great, if you do have a family and people around you that you love, if you don't have a family, if you're single, or if you're living alone and there aren't people around you all day, it can feel a bit lonely. In fact, I had a student named James who was only 17 years old when he took the course, the digital marketing course, and he actually ended up getting an incredible remote job, making very good money, over 60,000, I think it was 70,000 Australian a year. But he actually left that job after a few months, not because he didn't like the job, but because he's an unusual case, but he's 17 years old. He's just been homeschooled his whole life. He was kind of tired of being at home, and he actually wanted to work in an office, which I would kind of scratch my head, but I thought about his situation and I thought that kind of made sense. So with that in mind, I just want to kind of talk to you about working in an office and talk about the pros and cons of that and things that people, again, may have overlooked when they're considering these things. Now, I'll start with the cons because, the office has gotten a bad rap over the years because, first of all, the commute, right? You actually have to leave your house. And if you have a job that starts in the morning, you have to leave early and you have to spend time in traffic, which definitely most people do not want to do. I found with a lot of my students who do have office jobs in digital marketing, sometimes I'll find people that are like, yeah, I actually live, 15 minutes or 10 minutes from my work. That's really great, but it's not always the case. I know when I had my digital agency job, I had to spend about an hour each way in the car, and it really, really stunk. However, as far as the pros go of working in an office, what I do think about like my first agency job is I really, really enjoyed my coworkers. I loved going into the office every day. It was a bunch of guys, we're all sitting at the computers, and I learned a lot from being right next to my boss. He taught me a lot about digital marketing, but we would also go out to lunch almost every day and we'd hang out, we became friends. I think people have realized in the last couple of years, because of what happened a couple of years ago, is that isolation can be really, really tough. I know myself, running my own business was always a dream of mine and I love it, but I had this problem, which is I'm on my computer and I'm having virtual connections with all these people, but I'm like not around any actual real human beings in real life, and that can be really tough. So just having that connection is really, really positive. And that's what James experienced when he got his office job, where he's also making great money, but now he's actually around other people out of his house house, away from his parents in his case, and he's actually interacting with people every day. I think when office jobs become a problem is when it's like oppressive, or if you're working at a job you don't like. It really feels like you're kind of stuck in a prison for 8 hours and you can't leave. What's great about digital marketing in particular with an office job is usually that same flexibility that you get in a remote job applies to the agency. Usually you're giving that same autonomy where you have to be at these meetings, of course, but if you have to go take care of an errand or do something, you're usually allowed to do so as long as you get your work done. The other thing about a remote job, forgot to mention in terms of a con, is that you have to really create a space to do your work. I know for myself, when I was running my own business, when I first started, I didn't really care. I was working in my bedroom. But over time, I realized that like, if you're working in your bedroom and then you're trying to sleep in your bedroom or do other stuff in your bedroom, it's really, I don't know, I'm not a huge feng shui guy. Well, actually, I kind of do like that kind of stuff, but you may not be into feng shui or energy, but I would just say if you're in your bedroom all day working, then it's kind of hard to relax when you want to go to sleep at night. And so that's why a lot of people who work at home do create home offices. You have to take on that responsibility to create a little bit more structure and make sure you have a separate place to put in all that work energy. And also, as I said, you want to feel like you're in a place that's separate when you're working versus when you're relaxing or spending time with your loved ones. And so when you go to the office, that can be a real benefit because there's a clear demarcation between your work experience and your personal life experience. I know when I was writing my book, Skip College for Success, I could be very productive in my home, but I actually rented a workspace, and I started doing that because I loved the experience of moving physically out of my personal relaxation space into a work environment. Also helped me be a little bit more productive. I met new people when I was at the workspace, and I really appreciated having this dedicated non-personal space to do my work in. I think for a lot of people, a hybrid model is really the best. And this is happening more and more often, which is where you do have the freedom and flexibility of working remotely a few days a week, but if you want, you can come into the office and socialize with other people. And I'm thinking, when I was working in digital marketing in particular, I loved some of my jobs because not only did I make friends with my coworkers, but sometimes I worked at one place in particular where we had a ping pong table and a foosball table, and you get to play ping pong. They had catered lunches. There was a sense of community. And, I think having that plus the ability to work independently, remotely, can be an ideal. But again, some people love working remotely, especially people who have families that get to spend time with their kids. Some people enjoy working in office. The best thing about digital marketing is that you have options. There's some jobs are fully remote, some are in office, some are hybrid, and you get to choose which kind of experience you want to have when you have this in-demand skill set. I think everybody has their own preference, but I hope this video has given you a little bit more insight into what some of the pros and cons might be of a remote job versus an office job. And of course, if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below this video. And if you want to know how I've helped thousands of people start careers in digital marketing, getting remote jobs or hybrid jobs with no previous experience or education, please click the link below to check out my free masterclass webinar. And if you want to know even more information, you can click the link below that to learn more about my full training that has made a difference in so many people's lives. Again, please feel free to leave questions or comments below. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.